Some major updates regarding the big breaking news that we had yesterday for you. The nightmare on the Hudson, the deadly helicopter crash. We continue to get updates, and we want to go out live right now for the very latest. Fox 5 New York's Linda Schmidt has been following this story and joins us with the latest.
Well, good afternoon to you. Yeah, the NTSB holding a news conference late today here in Jersey City, New Jersey, because the helicopter went down here on the New Jersey side of the Hudson River. What we learned today, the NTSB has 17 investigators on the ground right now for this case, and that the body of water, the section of the Hudson where the body of the helicopter crashed into yesterday about 3:15 in the afternoon is 5 feet deep. 5 feet, which is probably one of the reasons that divers were able to get to the bodies as quickly as they were able to yesterday. Also, the commissioner of the New York City Fire Department today telling us here on Fox 5 that all 6 people on board that helicopter were all buckled in, meaning they all had their seatbelts on. Now, the father of the family, he had been here on business. The wife and the 3 children joined him later to celebrate his wife's 40th birthday. And that sightseeing tour that they took yesterday was part of her birthday present. Now go ahead, take a look at the video here. The NTSB investigators have now begun the lengthy process of examining the wreckage as they are continuing to collect evidence as we speak that is still in the Hudson River. NYPD dive teams are in the water right now searching for pieces of the helicopter, a Bell 206 model. The area where they are diving right now is about 75 feet deep. Now we learned from the NTSB press briefing, like I just said, that the chopper is owned by Meridian Helicopters, which is in Louisiana. Investigators will be poring over the history of the helicopter, the maintenance logs, and the pilot's qualifications. The NTSB chairman said the pilot had 450 hours of flight time reported as of September of last year, and about 788 hours as of March 29th this year. Here's what else she had to say.
Components and the engine off the wreckage and other components that they would like to more closely examine. Most of their focus was to turn it upright and move the helicopter or the wreckage inside so that they can begin to do a more comprehensive examination. We also are aware that there are dive teams. The New York Police Department is still diving for components and pieces of the helicopter that we are still looking to recover. Those include the main rotor, the main transmission, the roof structure, and the tail structure.
That's the area the water's approximately 75 foot. They have found some items on the floor based on sonar and things like that that are not normal appearances, and that's why they're continuing to mark that.
Now, the family tragically killed in that crash yesterday, Augustine Escobar, 49 years old, and his wife, Mercedes, and their 3 children, ages 4, 8, and 10. Now, he was here on a business trip, as I said at the beginning, and then his wife and children joined him to celebrate his wife's 40th birthday, and their 8-year-old son's birthday was today. And we now know the pilot's name. He is 36 years old, the pilot, and his name is Sean Keese Johnson. Now, the mayor of Jersey City, New Jersey, also telling us today that he is working with the medical examiner's office to expedite the process of releasing the bodies of the 5 family members back to the family. The mother's brother arrived here today from Spain and is working with the administration here in Jersey City to be able to identify and reclaim those bodies and take them back home. Back to you.
And Linda, just such a sad tragedy for the family, and just to learn that they just got to New York City and this terrible situation happened with the helicopter. Linda, we really appreciate the updates. Is there any clues to when investigators could get all of the debris, including some of the rotor? Is there more of a timeline for that to happen?
There really is no timeline right now because, as you could hear the NTSB chair woman speaking there, they call her chairman, but speaking there, the water where they are looking for the rotor and the blades and some other major parts of the helicopter are in 75 feet of water, and the conditions are extremely murky here. So it's like you can't even see right in front of your face. You know,
Deadly crash where it appears the helicopter rotor blades detached from the fuselage. The NTSB says flights like these have been a safety concern for years. New CCTV footage showing truly shocking images. The helicopter flying over the Hudson River, passing behind a building until in the top middle of your screen, you see it in distress, falling at a precarious angle toward the river, breaking apart in midair. We've stopped the video before the crash that killed all 6 people aboard.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh.
Another video shows the rotor blades fully detached, spinning toward the water. The bystander recording video in total disbelief. The National Transportation Safety Board now taking lead on the investigation into the crash, saying safety on sightseeing flights like this has been a long-term concern.
We do believe that they should be regulated. We have issued recommendations in the past.
The pilot, identified as 36-year-old Sean Johnson from Chicago. According to these Facebook posts, he's trained and worked in a number of different states as a helicopter pilot, working as an aerial firefighter pilot last year. And before his New York pilot career, he was working here in Chicago as a pilot for a helicopter tour company. The I-Team reached out to Fly Heli, and they had no comment. Nico Tiapula says he served with Johnson in the Navy on the USS Ronald Reagan aircraft carrier for 3 years.
Everyone that he has ever been around with, he's always been very nice, very outgoing.
Tiapula says Johnson trained at Naval Station Great Lakes and grew up on the south side of the city. His friend group utterly devastated by the loss.
He had a work ethic unlike any other.
The chopper was taking a family of 5 from Spain on a sightseeing tour. Parents Merci Montal and Agustin Escobar seen here when the helicopter appears to fall apart. City authorities citing the possibilities of mechanical, drone, or bird interference that could have contributed to the crash.
As of March 29, 2025, the pilot accumulated about 788 hours of total flight time.
Tonight, Johnson remembered fondly by friends who say he was exemplary.
The man was an amazing pilot. I highly doubt it's going to come back to anything that he did wrong.
The NTSB has not released a preliminary cause of the crash, but that helicopter was on its 6th flight of the day. Charter company New York Helicopter Tours was operating the flight. The CEO saying his staff is devastating. But tonight, real questions over the safety of some of those sightseeing tours after what we saw happen in New York.
Still so many questions on what exactly happened up
Exactly.
there.
watch breaking news.
Back to the statue, looking for Bravo store information pop-up. Tower squawk the street, radar contact 700, traffic about a quarter-mile east-to westbound, indicating 600. We cleared in at 1,500, altimeter 3033. So 1,500, this is New York 38. 239, stop that truck, maintain good reception. New York 39, roger LaGuardia 2605.
Hudson known LaGuardia, New York 39, back with you for Bravo tour.
New York 39, LaGuardia South 3032, Bravo tour approved. North Southeast on helicopter 1,300 has been sight.
Another traffic call.
New York 39, looking for that traffic. Could I also get that checked out?
New York 39, leaving the Bravo, ready to turn at 1234, frequency approved traffic, full facing north south 15 helicopter.
Got that traffic to side, maintain a visual set, New York 39, thanks for the help.
Now they turned around, they're headed south again.
Where my fire starters at? GFTV back with another fire flame meltdown. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Stomp, step, and stand all over that notification bell when you want the latest. If you ain't a fire starter, hawker, walker, or stalker yet, what are you waiting on, family? Come on over here and subscribe because we stomp, step, and stand on real morals and traditional principles. It ain't nothing morally sound or traditional about what happened literally in this helicopter situation on the Hudson River. Now hit the like button, drop your fire TVs in the chat because it's about time to cook. Now, a lot of people have no idea, okay, that this particular individual, August Escobar, all right, was involved with some very, very powerful people.
What is it with CEOs and executives and catastrophes like this one? A family of 5 went down in a helicopter in the Hudson River in New York. Now, this guy was the global CEO of rail infrastructure at the tech company Siemens. Now, this is not a conspiracy, but I do have some questions though. They said this crash was due to mechanical failure when the propellers came completely off. And this trip was done by tourist company New York Helicopters, and this was the 6th trip of the day. Reports also say that the pilot radioed into ground control because of low fuel, so they're gonna land to get more fuel shortly after takeoff. So no inspection, no fuel, and who is that? Because that's not the pilot. Actually, the pilot was Navy SEAL veteran Sean Johnson, so we can rule out DEI on this one. Now, being that he was at Siemens, let's take a look at recent activity, shall we? Siemens boosting investments by more than $10 billion for American manufacturing jobs, software, and AI infrastructure. BlackRock increases their stake in Siemens by over 5%, giving them more voting power on the board. Interesting. I just find it funny that every executive or CEO dealing with a catastrophe in the last 6 to 8 months, BlackRock had a stake in those companies. Not to mention, just late last year, Siemens was just found guilty for wire fraud against GE and Mitsubishi. It doesn't stop there. Also late last year, Siemens pled guilty to stealing confidential competitor information and settled for $104 million. They even got sued back in 2020 and had to pony up $89 million to a city in Mississippi over water meter mismanagement. Seems to be a lot of corruption going on. So the question is, what else did he know, being that they have a long laundry list of crimes and maybe they didn't want something to get out? Now, his whole bloodline just got wiped out in this crash, so he has no successors. So what's in his will? How much stock does he have? Where does his money go now? Seems like we have more questions than answers now, but what do you guys think is happening? Let me know below. So what is it with CEOs and executives and catastrophes like this one? A family of 5 went down in a helicopter in the Hudson River in New York. Now, this guy was the global CEO of rail infrastructure at the tech company Siemens. Now, this is not a conspiracy, but I do have some questions though. They said this crash was due to mechanical failure when the propellers came completely off. And this trip was done by tourist company New York Helicopters, and this was the 6th trip of the day. Reports also say that the pilot radioed into ground control because of low fuel, so they're gonna land to get more fuel shortly after takeoff. So no inspection, no fuel, and who is that? Because that's not the pilot. Actually, the pilot was Navy SEAL veteran Sean Johnson, so we can rule out DEI on this one. Now, being that he was at Siemens, let's take a look at recent activity, shall we? Siemens boosting investments by more than $10 billion for American manufacturing jobs, software, and AI infrastructure.
And not only was he involved with some very, very powerful people, ladies and gentlemen, all right, Mr. August Escobar was on business in New York City, all right? Mr. August Escobar was already allegedly in New York City for approximately 3 days, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, 3 days. And his wife and children had just arrived in New York City. His wife and children had just landed at the airport, literally 30 minutes before this helicopter sightseeing venture that Mr. Escobar and his family went on. Not to mention, it was also his wife's birthday, and the next day after the crash was also their youngest child, which wasn't on the trip with them, He was 8 months old, and the next day would have been his birthday, and he would have been practically 9 months old. Now, peep the game, y'all. What I am hearing on the back end from very credible and very, very reliable sources about this helicopter situation, man, as we done seen the video, we done seen the clips, we done seen it from different angles. All right, and if you ask me, man, the video looks very suspect. The video looks very suspicious. Not only that, y'all, I am hearing, ladies and gentlemen, that someone ejected out of that helicopter. If you take a look at the video, you can practically see that the video is altered. All right, and when the debris from the helicopter hits the water, you can see that they're altering the footage. When this debris landed to the water, not only that, man, pay attention where the helicopter landed at. This helicopter landed very, very close to land, very, very close to a pier. Literally, they said the helicopter was submerged at 5 feet of water only. And like I said, man, I'm hearing from reliable sources from people that were out there on the pier and on the Hudson River, people that were looking out of their windows from the Manhattan skyline and things like that, that they seen someone eject out of the helicopter, all right, and land in that water and swim to shore. Not only did they see someone land out of that helicopter, swim to shore, ladies and gentlemen, it is being said that phones, people with phones, people with footage, eyewitnesses out there that was recording this situation, eyewitnesses that recorded these situations from their apartment window. They were confiscating people's phones. They were confiscating people's videos. They said that they set up a perimeter. I'm hearing y'all. Allegedly, out there on the Hudson River, all right, they had set up a perimeter. And they wouldn't allow anybody to leave. As I'm hearing that, they were confiscating and looking through people's phones for footage, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm hearing that these people who had this footage of this alleged pilot or whoever it was, all right, who ejected themselves out of this helicopter, they are trying to silence the people with this footage. Now, like I said, man, this is for educational and research purposes only. Everything in this video that I'm breaking down is alleged, as we don't want no risk to come upon the channel. But like I said, fire starters, hawkers, walkers, and stalkers. All right, this situation just ain't adding up. As the pilot, Sean Johnson, literally on March 29th, just gathered 788 hours of skill in classified flight hours. And they claimed that his last message, all right, his last message was, we're low on fuel. We're low on fuel. Now, like I said, man, ain't no pilot gonna be dumb enough to take off without fuel. Not to mention, all right, this was Sean Johnson, sixth flight of the day. All right, this was his sixth flight of the day, ladies and gentlemen. And also, if you pay attention, man, where this helicopter landed at, it landed in front of the Jersey City Water Soul statue. All right, and if you pay attention to this statue, all right, it is literally a beheaded statue. It is literally a statue of a woman that's beheaded with their finger over their lips, as in to shh, hush, hush. Quiet is kept. And like I said, I find that very odd and I find that very strange. Not only that, for this helicopter to land where it landed at, and for these alleged eyewitnesses that seen someone eject out of that helicopter and swimming to shore. It's crazy. Now, this whole situation just ain't adding up, ladies and gentlemen. All right, especially the photos that was taken before this family got on this sightseeing helicopter venture. All right, and for these photos to be released so fast and so quick, as they said that these photos were taken from Pablo Escobar's iPhone. All right, so if this was taken by Pablo Escobar's iPhone, then how in the world was the media able to get these pictures up so quick when the bodies, the debris, the phone, and everything of that nature was in the water? As we know, we're still trying to find debris. Days and days later, they just pulled out the rotor to the helicopter today. So you mean to tell me that they found his phone that fast for them to upload this last picture of the family? You mean to tell me that they found his wife's phone? Like I said, man, this whole situation just ain't making sense. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Like, share, subscribe. Always remember, fear the fire and fear the flame. Because like I said, man, nothing surprises me when it comes to these powerful CEOs of these corporations. As we see a lot of CEOs get knocked down due to suspicious death and suspicious activity. All right, like the healthcare dude, for example. But y'all let me know what y'all think, man. Like, share, subscribe. Always remember, fear the fire and fear the flame. R.I.P. to the Escobar family. God